On December 13, 2025, Brown University's sense of safety was shattered in a way no one could have anticipated. What began as an ordinary winter day on the historic Ivy League campus would soon become a date forever etched in the memories of students, faculty, and families. By nightfall, an act of violence had unfolded that would haunt the campus for years to come, leaving a scar on the university's collective spirit. The tranquil walkways and familiar buildings, once symbols of academic pursuit and youthful ambition, were transformed into silent witnesses of tragedy. That evening, students gathered in the Barris and Holly Engineering Building for an Econ 0110 review session. Finals week was in full swing, and the air was thick with anxiety and anticipation. Friends exchanged notes, some nervously joked about the exam, while others focused intently on their laptops, completely unaware of the danger that was about to shatter their world. Suddenly, the unthinkable happened. Gunfire erupted, echoing through the halls. Claudio Neves Valente, 48, entered the classroom and opened fire without warning, turning a place of learning into a scene of chaos and tragedy. Panic swept through the room as students scrambled for cover, some diving beneath desks, others desperately searching for exits. The sound of sirens soon followed as law enforcement and emergency responders rushed to the scene. In the aftermath of the toll became heartbreakingly clear. Two students, Ella Cook and Muhammad Aziz Umarzokov, lost their lives in the attack. 9 others were injured, some critically, their futures forever altered in a matter of moments. The campus community was plunged into shock and mourning, struggling to comprehend the senseless loss. News of the shooting spread rapidly, sending shockwaves not only through Brown University but across the nation. Students and faculty gathered in small groups, comforting one another, while parents frantically tried to reach their children. The attack raised urgent questions about campus safety, institutional responsibility, and the measures in place to protect those who call the university home. The campus, once a haven for learning and growth, was left reeling in grief and fear. Vigils were held on the campus green with students and staff lighting candles and laying flowers in memory of the victims. The sense of loss was palpable, and the community struggled to find solace in the face of such overwhelming tragedy. As law enforcement secured the area and the investigation began, the university community demanded answers. How could such a tragedy occur in a place meant to nurture and protect? The pain of loss was compounded by confusion and disbelief as students, parents, and faculty tried to make sense of the events. Vigils and memorials became a way for the community to come together, to mourn, and to seek comfort in shared grief. But as the days passed and more details emerged, so did anger and frustration. Reports of possible security lapses and missed warning signs fueled outrage among students and parents. Protests erupted on campus with calls for accountability and demands for immediate action to prevent such a tragedy from ever happening again. The focus quickly shifted from mourning to accountability. University officials faced tough questions at press conferences as the administration's actions and preparedness came under intense scrutiny. The community wanted not just words of comfort, but concrete changes to ensure safety for all. The world watched as Brown University faced its darkest day. The tragedy made headlines around the globe, and the demand for answers grew louder with each passing hour. The university's response would set a precedent for how institutions handle crisis, grief, and the urgent need for reform. In the aftermath, Brown was forced to confront its most basic duty: to protect its own. The tragedy sparked a reckoning, not just for the university, but for campuses everywhere, as communities across the country asked themselves, could this happen here? The search for answers, healing, and change had only just begun. The tragic deaths of Ella Cook and Muhammad Aziz Umarzokov sent shockwaves through the Brown University community, leaving a permanent void that will never truly be filled. Their loss was felt not only by their families and friends but by classmates, professors, and everyone who had the privilege of knowing them, even in passing. The campus, once alive with laughter and hope, was suddenly shrouded in grief and disbelief. Ella was known for her unwavering kindness, her infectious smile, and her deep passion for learning. She was the type of student who would stay late to help a struggling classmate or organize study groups to make sure no one was left behind. Her professors often spoke of her curiosity and her drive to make a difference in the world, both inside and outside the classroom. Muhammad, an international student far from home, brought a unique perspective and boundless energy to campus life. He was dedicated to his studies, always eager to learn, and full of promise for the future. Friends recall his optimism and the way he bridged cultures, making everyone feel welcome and included. In a single, senseless moment, their bright futures were stolen. The dreams they carried, the contributions they would have made, and the lives they would have touched, all were cut short, leaving behind only memories and unanswered questions. The shooter, Claudio Neves Valente, was a figure from Brown's distant past, with only a brief and largely forgotten connection to the university decades ago. Few on campus remembered his name, and even fewer could have predicted the darkness he would bring. To this day, his motives remain a mystery. Investigators have searched for answers, but the reasons behind his actions are still unclear, leaving the community to grapple with confusion and fear. In the aftermath of the attack, authorities quickly connected Neves Valente to another shocking crime, the murder of MIT professor Nuno Loureiro. The violence had spread beyond Brown, casting a shadow over another prestigious institution and deepening the sense of loss. The manhunt for Neves Valente ended in rural New Hampshire, where he was found dead by suicide. While his death brought an end to the immediate threat, it left behind a trail of devastation and a community desperate for closure, with so many questions still unanswered. The impact of his actions rippled from Providence to Massachusetts, forever linking Brown and MIT in a shared tragedy. Two of the nation's top universities, once connected only by academic excellence, now share a bond forged in grief and loss. The contrast could not be more stark. On one side, two young students building their futures with hope and determination. On the other, a man whose legacy is defined by destruction and heartbreak. Now the community is left to grapple with the fragility of life, the randomness of tragedy, and the scars left by senseless violence. In the face of such loss, students, faculty, and families have come together to support one another, finding strength in unity and remembrance. Healing will take years, and the pain may never fully fade. But the memory of Ella and Muhammad endures, in the hearts of those who love them, in the halls where they once walked, and in the determination of a community to honor their lives by moving forward together. Outrage grew as Brown's security failures came to light. The Baruch and Holly building lacked adequate surveillance and access controls, making it vulnerable. A homeless man living in the basement went unnoticed for months, highlighting severe lapses. Students and faculty shared stories of feeling unsafe, pointing to a pattern of complacency. The tragedy exposed an institution unprepared for modern threats, despite its vast resources. The most damning detail warnings about the shooter were ignored. A custodian saw Neves Valente acting suspiciously in the building multiple times and reported it to campus security weeks before the attack. His specific warnings were dismissed, and no action was taken. This failure to act on credible intelligence was a catastrophic breakdown in protocol. The tragedy became a preventable disaster, fueling anger and grief. The custodian's courage in speaking out revealed a culture of indifference. The question lingers: if the university had listened, could lives have been saved? The ignored warning remains a central point of frustration for the Brown community. In the aftermath, President Christina Paxson's response was widely criticized. Her statements focused on abstract issues, deflecting from the administration's failures. She downplayed the lack of cameras and ignored recent warnings, insisting past student records were irrelevant. Her most controversial remark: "I do not think a lack of cameras in that building had anything to do with what happened there." The community saw her response as defensive and disconnected, deepening mistrust. Instead of unity, her leadership left students and faculty feeling abandoned. While the president spoke, the Board of Trustees, the university's highest authority, remained silent. Legally and morally responsible for Brown's well-being, the board offered no public statements or signs of action. Media requests for comment were met with a wall of silence. This inaction was seen as a profound dereliction of duty and a failure of governance. The board's silence suggested either endorsement of the administration's failures or a hope the crisis would fade. For a grieving campus, this felt like a final betrayal. The lack of leadership at the top left the community desperate for accountability. the silence was even more glaring given the board's high-profile members. Leaders like Brian Moynihan, Bank of America, Rich Friedman, Goldman Sachs, and Joe Dowling, Blackstone, said nothing. Tech and political figures, including Claire Hughes Johnson and David Cicilline, also stayed silent. Even those with public platforms declined to speak out. Their collective silence suggested loyalty to the institution outweighed responsibility to students. For many, it looked like powerful elites closing ranks to protect themselves. The board's silence damaged both personal reputations and the university's integrity. The fallout quickly moved into legal and political arenas. Brown hired high-powered attorney Zachary Cunha, signaling preparation for lawsuits from victims' families. Legal experts expect the university's negligence, ignored warnings, lack of cameras, and poor access control to be central in court. Politically, the tragedy was used to justify policy changes, like South Dakota's pause on the diversity visa lottery. The university now faces a multi-front crisis: legal battles, political controversy, and ongoing public scrutiny. The consequences of December 13th will echo for years. As 2025 draws to a close, Brown University finds itself at a crossroads, facing a profound crisis of trust and accountability that has shaken the very foundations of its community. The events of this year have left a lasting impact, not only on students and faculty, but on families and alumni who once believed in the institution's promise of safety and integrity. The administration's persistent lack of transparency, coupled with the board's ongoing silence, has left the Brown community grappling with a host of unanswered questions. Many are left wondering why those in power have not stepped forward to provide clarity or take responsibility, fueling a sense of frustration and uncertainty that lingers across campus. In the wake of tragedy, the question remains: who is truly responsible for ensuring the safety and well-being of students, if not the university president or the board of trustees? The absence of clear leadership has only deepened the community's concerns. Rebuilding trust at Brown will require far more than simply implementing new security measures or issuing statements. It demands a fundamental cultural shift, one that prioritizes openness, transparency, and genuine accountability at every level of the institution. Only by listening to the voices of students, staff, and families can Brown begin to heal. The path forward is clear. Only a thorough, public, and truly independent investigation, free from institutional influence, can begin to restore faith in Brown's leadership. Honest reckoning with past failures is essential if the university hopes to move beyond this crisis. The future of Brown University now depends on whether its leaders are willing to embrace real, meaningful reform, or whether they will remain mired in defensiveness and denial. The choices made in the coming months will shape the university's legacy for years to come. Above all, the families of Ella and Muhammad, along with the entire Brown community, deserve not only answers, but a sincere commitment that such a tragedy will never be allowed to happen again. Their pain and loss must serve as a catalyst for lasting change, ensuring that Brown emerges stronger, safer, and more united than ever before.